Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reaction, commentary, recap series with a longtime S.H.I.E.L.D. fan that wants to come back on here and talk endlessly about one of our favorite shows of all time, to the point where we're watching every single episode and trying to talk about every single thread here on the show. Of course, this is for the longtime S.H.I.E.L.D. fan. If you're a new-time S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, there are plenty of other options out there for you. I'm not saying get the hell away from us, but I'm saying that we're going to spoil every aspect of the show as we possibly can. I'm Alexis, and I'm joined by David here, of course, here. And it has obviously been the beginning of a brand new year, and we're trying to catch our bearings, as it were. So I do believe we took 1 week off, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to get back on track here with having these come out here on a weekly basis. Last time, we reacted to the 12th episode of Season 2, and here today is episode 13, titled One of Us, written by Monica Owusu-Breen and directed by Kevin Tancharoen. Broadcast originally on March 17th, 2015 to 4.34 million viewers. Of course, our regular cast, Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Brad Dalton, Chloe Bennett, Ian DeCasticker, Elizabeth Henstridge, Nick Blood, Adrian Palicki. Recurring guest star Kyle MacLachlan returns as Cal, alongside Henry Simmons as Alfonso McMackenzie, Drea De Matteo as Carla Frey Gideon, Jamie Harris as Gordon, Blair Underwood as Andrew Garner. This is the debut of Mr. Garner, who will be a big player throughout this next season, and of course Jeff Daniel Phillips as David Angar. Yeah, this is going to be, from what I remember, a pretty Cal-centric episode. So yeah, before we get into this episode, I do believe we have some comments from number 11, correct, David? If we have that, let's go ahead and get to those comments right now.
Yes. First one's from Silva Sufra. Hello, agents. I want to thank you, too, for making this channel the best of AOS love and appreciation. I only enjoyed Blind Wave, Jimmy Macrum, and Julie DJ's reactions of this show in the past, as I find others to be not my cup of tea, is the kindest way to express it. There are far too many pretentious and anti-free speech clowns in this fandom, in my opinion, so YouTube being as open and encouraging unique opinions and hot takes is just awesome. I also want to give a special highlight to the Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike. They have a fantastic rewatch and analysis of AOS, and I think you two would enjoy it. Happy New Year as well.
I've never heard of that particular subset of people. What was it again?
The
Rewatch series?
Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike.
Okay, well, we're going to have to look that up and see if we are familiar with it. And I do appreciate Silva, especially for the wonderful engagement that we've been, and the dialogue that we've been able to establish on the show. We definitely do encourage everyone to chime in with their particular perspective on certain things. If I'm not mistaken, Silva has been the one that has been, I think, wanted to anyway, ship Simmons and Tripp, right? And well, we definitely appreciate the fact that with a fan base like this, there will be many, many different viewpoints, and I do so hope that we can continue to have that wonderful dialogue, especially once we hit the seasons that people have some very, very heated feelings about. But I definitely would concur with singling out Blind Wave. Blind Wave, I mean, how can you not mention them? They're kind of darlings of the reaction community. Because they're, I think, to me anyway, Blind Wave was perhaps the first ever reaction channel, not just that I, like, you know, connected and bonded with, but maybe the first ever that I was like, wait, what, people do this on YouTube too? They react to things? Huh. And they were kind of the genesis for, like, this really kind of experiential perhaps is the better way of phrasing it, kind of YouTube where it's like, oh, I can watch something that I already like with these other people and almost kind of get the experience as if we were watching it all together. And then, of course, you know, people have various different opinions, and you know, I can definitely understand where Silva comes from when you know, I stumble across, oh, here's a reaction video to a movie that I like, but I don't necessarily care very much for the particular reactor or the comments that they have to say. So it can kind of be a real hit or miss experience. I know you're going to single out a particular comment for, you know, we also do occasionally reactions of movies on this channel as well. The most recent one that we did was for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I got to say, David, I actually got a chance to watch that over the weekend. And I was like, oh, that's just pretty good. It was weird, you know. I think this is like the first time where I was like, I watched the whole thing through. It was like the first reaction video I saw for myself of myself. With other people. It was like kind of like this weird 4D experience. Like, wait, what? Like, I already lived this and I'm watching it again. But it was a really good edit. I love the fact that you, especially because you are the one that edits all of these reactions, which by the way, I'm so grateful that you do, because oh my god, I could never. But I really do like the way that you include the actual references of things that we're making connections to.
Oh yeah.
In the moment. So I love the little edits that you make in there. That way it catches people up in case people have literally no idea what the hell we're talking about. So I like that very much. So, and I really do love how you included a lot of the clips. And oh my god, is Puss in Boots hilarious. Even just watching it again, just the reaction, I'm like, there's so moments where I'm just like laughing my ass off, like when Florence Pugh like breaks in through that, which was basically what's his name, God, Mulaney, the character Jack Horner's whole like version of Ariel's grotto. She breaks in there and she finds Kitty and Puss in Boots, literally doing a tug of war over the map, and she's like, "What the hell, you two? I was like trying to reach out to you." And she goes to freaking Salma Hayek's Kitty character, and she's like, "I thought you went on a spiritual retreat." And Kitty's like, "Namaste."
Yeah.
Which of course is then followed up with Puss in Boots responding to her saying, "I thought you were dead and I got better." I mean that's just, I mean, I'm gonna live that moment as much as I can. That's just a great freaking edit, a great film, and you know, that the idea that we got for that, you know, I'm gonna mention it now because I mean we began with Silva's comment here. I mean, you know, Silva was the one who gave us the thought to do it, and I'm like, hey. Yeah, that's why a month ago or so, randomly while we were doing a reaction Shield video, you saw a Puss in Boots poster behind me, and they didn't realize it until almost halfway through the damn thing that, David, you didn't tell me there was a Puss in Boots like poster behind me, because the plan was to do a reaction that night to Puss in Boots, and then things went haywire, and we had to like, you know, scramble for a plan B, and that's how things happen. You know, but no, it was a great time doing that. It was one of the easiest, I think, films to just react to. I don't know how much you had in the way of material, because we just kind of like got lost in the movie.
Yeah, towards the end,
know?
we were kind of getting lost within the plot and everything. But I mean, I tried to work with what I could and all that. But it's just always those little comments that we make. You know, the one that I did, it's like he's having his Snow White moment and everything. It's like, okay, I can work with that. And I made like a whole, I literally added the music from that scene into that. And it actually fit pretty perfectly. It was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, Silva commented on our Puss in Boots video saying, "Was great watching this with you all. Thanks for doing it." Which, yeah, Silva basically, he commented, that it's like, "Oh, did you guys ever talk about this movie? Like, I can't seem to find it." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure we did, right?" It's like, there's gotta be something, but no, we never actually like dedicated an episode for it. So that's how I told you guys to.
Yeah, there were a lot of reasons for why, but there was never an official review. But the thing is, at some point, everybody found a way to get around to watching it, and then it ended up being that when we did the top 10 of 2022, everybody basically included it in their list of favorite movies of the year. So we never ever like watched it together, but at some point the whole team watched it and everybody was like, "This is great." Like, honestly, Puss in Boots was like, you know, I think for the most part we have generally like not the same feelings, but I think as far as positivity or negativity, we more or less like the same kind of things with exceptions. There's always exceptions. But there are always, every now and then there'll be a movie where all of us, our whole group is like exactly feeling the same way about it. Like, where we all feel like united in like our love for it. Like Puss in Boots is that movie, although we don't talk about it all that often. It's like, that is that movie for this group. It kind of is in some ways the successor to Hereditary, which is a film that all of us were kind of like really championing back in 2018, which is hilarious enough because I obviously, I follow awards season, as does Red Spotlight, of course, and they do it because I do it. I make everybody, I beat them into submission. Don't clip that out, Peter. I don't literally beat people. I have to clarify that because Jesus Christ, if you watched that I was watching that podcast from last week, and how many times does he derail the conversation with something? I'm like, that's not what I mean. I was trying to say about that I go on a rant about like, I don't know, but the minority of opinion or whatever. Then he said that I something about, what was it? Minorities, that I was going against minorities. Like, it just, again, taking it completely out of context for humor is effect, of course. But the point that I bring it up is that I saw on Film Twitter today that somebody, oh, by the way, here were the 8 movies that were nominated for Best Picture that year. And I forgot how bad it was. I forgot how bad of a year that was. Yeah. Anywho, if you care to know more about our thoughts about any of that, well, the Red Spotlight podcast might be for you. And we will try and have, and usually on that podcast, that's where we try and get to as many of the new movies as possible. Some of these movies you may not, I know lately we haven't had too many mainstream movies besides Wicked, so we kind of have been venturing out to like, Flow, Hundreds of Beavers. The most recent one was Queer and Nosferatu. Fingers crossed, we're hoping to bring you another one pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. So, and it might be a pretty big one. It's already been a movie that's been winning things. And it's not Emilia Perez, because I have been rejected. I had the idea of an experimental reaction to do a live reaction to Emilia Perez, and David was like flat out, no. By the way, David never says no to me. So when he says no, it's like, okay. I don't think he has the patience to do an Emilia Perez. And I accepted it because his response was so funny. He was like, I think that's a movie I'm not going to be able to get all the way through. Yeah. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, basically. I was like, I got to watch it in chunks. Like, I can't. I don't know what to say.
Your reaction of the Penis and Vagina song was just like really, really worth it. It was like, just like, what the hell? I didn't know this was real.
That was great. Okay.
So anyway, that's a little bit of behind the scenes of what's been happening on our network this last couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. But no, it was a great joy to be able to deliver that for some. It was the first time that anybody had ever requested something, and we were able to deliver on that. And I was very happy to hear that Silva enjoyed it. So
yeah,
you're quite welcome. And if you have any other ideas for some reaction or commentaries, feel free to leave those ideas down below.
Especially because we ourselves have so many that we want to do. It's like,
I know,
we kind of have to pinpoint it down.
There's too many that we want to do, and because there's too many, we can't
decide.
Agree on one. We can't agree on one. I mean, I also threw around Madam Web. Not that we like these movies or seen them, but just that, ideas for films that might make great reactions. I'm thinking of movies that might create some wonderful moments. Madam Web is a film really nobody likes. But I think might make for some great reactions. So
for sure.
I would also say Joker Follow You Do, but I never want to do that ever again in my life, so we're not going to do that one. That one for sure. It's like that wasn't very fun. You might very well watch it if you want to, but just go read Nikki Glaser's joke on it. And that's more of a reaction you'll get out of it than the movie itself.
Okay. Next one, Silva again. That scene with Mac and Fitz highlights what I dislike about Mac in general. He is so self-centered and holier than thou, and was lecturing to Fitz about an experience he also shared. Fitz was mind controlled by Lorelai in season 1, and although it was played for comedic purposes there, it still was a violation and a traumatic experience for Fitz. Yeah.
You see, I think that also highlights when we've been talking about it. Also, Silva isn't alone in feeling that way. There were plenty of Shield fans who have this feeling about Mac that he carries himself as somebody who believes himself to be superior to everybody else. And there's nothing I'm going to be able to say to convince Silva of that otherwise, only to say that there are many people in general that feel turned off by other people because of this perceived notion that they think themselves higher than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just say this. Many, many, many years ago, I was a child, obviously. And I used to be an individual like this, where I would carry myself and I would act as if I was superior to everybody else around me. Did that work out for me? No. No, not in the least. I was quite lonely, isolated, and it did not occur to me till many, many years after, where I was a little older child, still a child though. Maybe people don't like me because I'm not a very pleasant individual. But that's a bit of introspection that I think most do not do.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't to say, by the way, that I validate every single piece of negativity and antagonism and criticism that I was received when I was a child. I think when we're kids, we all kind of go through our thing. I don't mean to get too personal, but today I had an experience, not a full circle experience, but kind of like a real surreal experience today in the work that I do. I don't want to get too deep into that, but I was able to speak to somebody who was of the age that I was when I was experiencing very similar things, and it was kind of like, oh my God, what the hell? Am I living in a time warp situation? I'm literally talking to somebody who was going through the exact same things that I was at that same age, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, am I that old? Well, that's the least of my concerns, but I'm just like, wow. And it was a very powerful interaction, and basically this person said that out of all of the people who he had spoken with in that whole week, he was saying to me that that he felt that I was the only person that really got what he was saying. And I know this is getting very far away with Mac and everything, but one thing that I can say with just my personal life experience is that very rarely are things what they seem, and I don't think you really ever understand people unless you get to know their personal circumstance. And one of the strong suits that I have been able to acquire in life is, and everybody seriously tells me this, and I take it as a great compliment, is that I'm a great listener. I can understand that when people are going through something, they need to vent. I know that because I feel the same way. If I'm frustrated with something, I'm so sorry, but I need somebody to vent out these frustrations to, just to verbalize it so I can process it and move on. And I recognize that people have to go through the same process as well. And I'm very happy to be that person to just sit there and listen to others. I don't know if it's just the face that I wear, but even people who in my professional career who don't know me as well also find themselves saying things to me, and I'm like, okay. And then I listen to them, maybe because I entertain it, and I'm just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. But that seriously happens a lot, by the way. I'm like, oh, okay, here we are. But I take that as a compliment, because it used to be that, not that I was a pariah, but people didn't necessarily ever want to be associated with me. When you're a kid and you're going through school, they leave scars. That is what it is. But now it's kind of come full circle, and I've kind of become this person that people not necessarily confide in, but they look to me as somebody that can help them through some tough times. And I like to be a person who is of use. I like to be a person that can help other people. That's really all I ever wanted to do. Although, if you talk to the person who I've been the closest with since high school, that's a whole different can of worms in and of itself.
Mhm.
Like he's been very vocal about the things that he's felt that I was doing, about being this master manipulator, and stabbing him in the back and everything. And there's a book that can be written about the friendship that we've lived. It's at many times not felt like a friendship, to be quite honest with you. And David's laughing because he knows who I'm talking about. It's kind of a miracle how we're still on speaking terms and still cordial and friendly, because we are friends to this very day. But the things that we have said and done to each other behind our backs and to our faces, you just can't help but like laugh because of it. But it's hilarious. I can't explain it, but it is what it is,
Mhm.
So getting back to Mac, we all bring our own experiences to anything that we watch, especially when it comes to media. But with Mac, I see it. I see why people are turned off by his holier than thou attitude. And there have been moments in the show where I felt the same way. But I think looking back on the show, one of the things that has not been revealed yet, it will be revealed in season 3. And then they have another reveal. In season 3, they reveal that he actually is a pretty religious individual. But he doesn't necessarily feel really comfortable expressing that. And I get the feeling that the closer he got with the team, the more at ease he was with like sharing his faith with other people. But I think a big reason for why the faith he has with him is, and the bombshell that happens in season 4, is he had a little girl that died. And then this show does it even dirtier, that when we get to the 5th season, they're in the future, the world has ended, and he's having to go rough up somebody else because that's the way things are at the end of the world, right? Like he gets asked to do that, and he's literally just like standing there after having roughed this person up. And this person, Gunter, I want to say, was the character's name. He had been working years and years, and he had finally been approved to start a family, because when the Kree enslaved humanity, they had to have approval to have a baby in the future. And after, Mac does all of this, he literally says out loud that I cannot believe where the hell I am. Like, I feel like a piece of shit, I'm paraphrasing, because I miss my fake daughter, and I mourn her more than I ever did my actual daughter. And that is the fucked up place. That is what these writers on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. do to these characters. So I think with Mac, I give him a lot of leeway, because I think, right now, where we are in season 2, I do feel like he is in the wrong. He feels he is in the right, but I think he's in the wrong because he's operating from a place of misrepresentation. None of these people knew Coulson. They only assumed things about him because Fury chose him to be the new leader. And they made very gross judgments about like, oh, so Fury picked somebody just like him. Coulson and Fury are not the same person. And it took them having to be undercover. Bobby, I think, found that out more than Mac, because Bobby had that one-on-one time with Coulson, and she got to realize not the same. But Mac also had some, and has, serious misgivings about the alien voodoo in his head, the memory replacements and Hydra and all that shit. And like, when you already have doubts about somebody's leadership and then you throw in alien memory wiping, yeah. But he's somebody who always sticks by his principles, but I never really took him as someone who ever felt that he needed to push his philosophy on others. I think in moments when he's thrown scripture around, or when he's thrown God or the Bible, it can come off as holier than thou, because we have all lived alongside people who are like that. And when they do it, yeah, it is holier than thou, and it is very much hypocritical. Not that Mac can't be hypocritical, mind you, but I do think people have a very visceral reaction to characters who use God, who use Christianity to prove themselves in the right. And I think people in this planet have had a very long history with not having the best kind of interaction with those kind of individuals. And that's all I'm going to say about that, at least in this particular moment. So, yeah, I think we're going to be seeing some more comments here and down the road about that. But all I'll say to Silva is, I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily blame you for feeling the way that you do. I understand where you're coming from, David. Mm-hmm. I apologize for the rant. We're already like That's half cool. An hour in here. We haven't even gotten into the episode, but I'm just like, I guess I'm in a very talking mood. I'm sorry for taking up so much oxygen.
That's cool. Next one, again, Silva. Simmons also was extreme about Trip because Coulson told her when she vouched for him in season 1 that he is your responsibility. I think she felt guilt, blaming herself for his fate. I could write an essay on Trip, but I'll just remind everyone that he was originally going to be another sleeper Hydra agent to be killed in season 1. AOS showrunners just kept him on as a recurring guest starring character instead of hiring him as a full-time. They indeed did fumble the ball with that move. He's a superior character compared to Hunter or Lincoln, and I'll nerd debate that to the end of time.
Oh man, I wish I could see what you see in him. I really do, because I really do prefer Lincoln and Hunter in every way imaginable. But I do think there was a lot of potential there with the character, and it just didn't come to fruition. And it's not comparing apples to apples because Lincoln and Hunter actually got characters.
Yeah, I think it's just ultimately the actor just had so much charisma. Like he just, as soon as he was on screen, you're like, I like you.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I get it. Last one's from Shield Vids. Thank you for discussing my theories, even if they can be hard to put together. I plan on making a video in the future to clear things up.
Hey, please make that video. And Silva, please write that essay. Don't let anybody stop you. You want to write that essay? Write that essay. Drop it in the comments. We'll read every word. At least David will. Yeah, we'll read every word and we'll have a conversation about it. And as far as Shield Vids is concerned, make that video, dude. Please make it, because us Shield fans are starving out here. We need some commentary. We need something to keep it moving, and especially when it comes to with Shield Vids. Were you the person that left that comment about your theory of the Chronicoms and the monoliths? God bless you. Thank you very much for leaving that there, because I don't think I've ever had a just flat out geekier interaction with anybody in my life, because you really, what you put in those words really spoke to me, because obviously no one in my personal friend group can really compare or care to be of the same size of Shield fans. So it's like I've never had a better time, honestly, trying to like go through all of the this happened in this episode and this happened in that. Like no one, I love the show that much that I do have more or less a good enough encyclopedic memory of the show. I mean, I literally just name dropped Gunter, a character that comes in like, what, 3 episodes in the first half of season 5. David's like, who the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, happens like every day on recording this show. You'll find out who Gunter is when we get to season 5. But again, minor character. Like, not really a character, it's just there in the background, but like I remember names and faces because I love the show so much. So yeah, make that video, Shieldvids. You make the video, we might be able to react to it here. I'm not saying we can't. You know, it'll be related to what we're talking about, so you got plenty of time. We're only in season 2 still. So yeah. David.
Yeah, that's all the comments.
Okay. Well, if I hadn't said it already, Happy New Year to everybody here on Red Spotlight. Let's make it a great year here for a wonderful Shield reaction comment. Let's go ahead and cue up our episode here, One of Us.
Previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
She's gonna be so terribly afraid. He'll put her on the index.
Do you recall anything about this episode, my friend?
I really don't. I don't think so.
Oh.
When I get upset, we'll control.
Do you
your
remember-
emotions, just like we practiced?
Dr. Andrew Garner.
No.
Ooh. Okay, well, maybe, let's see. This is his introduction here. Oh, I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Hunter got knocked out. I totally forgot that happened. Okay, so let's see. You let me know what you can begin remembering here. But this is kind of a... In moments, it can be considered one of their wackier episodes. Only because it is, in some instances, a Cal-centric episode.
Would there be hands and eyes to you?
Okay, yeah. I just remembered it, yeah. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh yeah, T lets her go. She goes on a killing spree, basically, and Team has to stop her. So we're kind of back to the, I guess, villain of the week or something.
In some ways.
Are you with S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I'll try not to be offended. Since you felt a sensation on your fingertips, we want to free you from these shackles.
He's so good. Just that smile when she opened the door. Why wouldn't you just remove the damn blades off of the fingertips?
Maybe they explain it?
No.
Well, I mean, she could also just put him back. So maybe it's just don't let her
I sound bat guano
get
crazy.
to do that. I don't know.
Except S.H.I.E.L.D., not so mighty anymore.
Seeing her hands, though, it just makes me want to go like
Yeah.
move my hands too. Just being like, oh God, how do you even
I keep working on this. I can be back in the field in no time.
do anything?
She's acting like everything will go back to normal.
That's what she does.
I have to accept that he's different now and our relationship won't ever be what it was.
A little early to sound the funeral bells, don't you think?
A betrayal of trust like that, it changes everything.
About that.
Yep.
Software won't anticipate a Manson or a Bin Laden. The human mind is infinitely complicated. It's messy. And surprising.
Do you remember him at all?
Yeah, I remember for sure.
Okay. Just making sure now.
Especially like his ending.
Yeah. Be hard to forget that. Really fucked up what happens.
Oh yeah.
Why me? Is this, Sky that bad?
She's that good. Good agent. I'm her SO.
You're back in the field. Asking for a favor, but when I called you after S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed to check if you were all right, not a word.
It was a busy time.
Busy.
I mean, it was.
It was busy.
Come on.
We saw it.
you could guess. It's like, I wonder what she's gonna be doing. And you know, it's like, is she okay? No, she's helping rebuild it.
Nah, I talked to your mom. She told me you were alive. We had a nice talk. Invited me over for dinner.
I'm not surprised. She still hasn't forgiven me for divorcing you.
Think about that. This is the first official confirmation. Okay, this is the person who May used to be married to. But I think what... Oh, by the way, this is hilarious, this bit right here. What happens?
Made a wrong turn back there. I think we're lost.
Where are you trying to get to?
Well,
Hi.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what I love about that scene there between Andrew and May is like, it really caught us up to speed here. Okay, there were a former thing, but they don't say to us what was it exactly that happened that caused them to split. But then when you see them interact, they're like, am I reading something wrong here, or is there still some love on both sides still coming on here? Like, they still very much seem like, not necessarily like a Bobby and a Hunter, because they're on very good terms, these two. Like, they're very professional and adult. But especially, you can tell there's still something there going on between the two of them, but they just don't say it out loud.
And it's also cool rewatching that, knowing like everything that's happened to her, like leading up to the divorce and what the reason for it. And I love that look of like, you're back in the field. Like, oh no, I don't. I don't want that for you.
I did not know that you were married.
Now you do.
He seems nice.
What do you say to that? It's like, that's neat.
Andrew is good. And he's done this before.
So have I. I grew up in the system. I've been through enough of these to know that I hate them.
You'll like this one.
Yeah, how do you know that?
Because I was married to him.
Like, what?
We eloped. We didn't want a big wedding. And no, it wasn't Vegas. Although Melinda does love Vegas.
Which must have sucked for her, because last time that they were in Vegas, she found the person that she was kind of having on and off sex with ended up kind of getting molested by an Asgardian. Is that the official way we're gonna call it? Well, because he was under
hypnosis,
her spell, and they had sex. So I don't know what consent means at that point, but anyway, last time they were in Vegas, not a pleasant experience for her. That was the point.
This is some serious damage to the system. I'm recovering what was recorded before the power went out. Is that Sky's dad?
Oh, no.
Who's he waving to?
He's so goofy. I mean, come on. I don't know whose idea it was, but like, maybe it was Kyle's, maybe it was the writing team, but just like the idea to make him goofy and hilarious, I think is a really big part of why people like that character. That's why I like him a lot, honestly. He's the way, and then Kyle, of course, delivers on it. He's the actor that can give that to you, and it's not easy. That's an appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
Shrunk the tumors, but left him with a voice that triggers the central nervous system. Induces immediate catatonia with the slightest whisper.
They'll come to us.
How do you even say that?
Manatonic?
All work and no play.
When I multitask, I make mistakes.
Sounds like there's a story there.
Ward? Yeah, it was Ward. That's what she was talking about, wasn't she?
For sure.
Yeah.
You hungry? I can fix you something.
I'm not that hungry.
Ow.
Fits.
That's
Just like,
hilarious.
the way he holds it too is just like weird.
Is it about Sky's condition?
No, it was personal in nature. Seems that May isn't a good cook.
Something Agent May doesn't excel at. Interesting.
I love how all the kids are getting a chance to get some gossip on their mom.
He makes her laugh. Clearly she still likes him. And have you seen the way he looks at her?
Yeah, I have eyes, Gemma. Of course I've seen.
I wonder what happened between them.
Do you two not see the way you look at each other? Come on. Do you have eyes? Come on.
They say about opposites. Perhaps spending time together could rekindle some... Hey, Sky. Get May and Dr. Garner.
This is the first time they were actually a little bit okay in like a long time. Those two were having a really a real conversation. This was the closest those two have felt like their old selves, maybe since the whole season. It was not that long, which is the point. It got immediately thrown off kilter, but like that was good for those two.
Sky.
You're doing this. You're shaking the room. You need to stop it.
Okay. If she needs a sedative.
No, it's good. Stop it.
This is a lot for a person to deal with. Like, you can't even escape from this in your dreams, and you're freaking causing earthquakes while you're asleep?
Carla Faye Gideon. Razors permanently grafted into her fingers.
Worked in a medical lab with her abusive boyfriend. Wanted to protect herself.
What I love about this episode so far is, like, on the surface, it feels like we're taking a detour, but things are very much still moving forward on all fronts.
Big leap with Andrew coming up.
Yeah.
And we're getting so much more with May and everything. And it's just kind of just puts you head on. It's like, okay, how do we get to fix Sky's thing? Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You know? And then also, I also find it really interesting the team that Cal brought up. It's like people that aren't gifted, like they don't have any powers or anything. I mean, yeah, that guy is
like him, right? Because he also enhanced himself through his own means. Because of the formula. He'll talk about it right now in this scene. He'll say where that super strength came from and also the effect it had on him.
So, I tried to change, to improve myself with chemistry. Results were inconsistent, some volatility issues.
Okay. I was always confused as to where that formula always came from. It's just, for me, I just wasn't paying attention enough, but like, I just felt kind of like it came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay, there it is, that formula that people talked about that was in the comics, but I never knew they brought it up in the show.
No, they did. Yeah, at various points. This is the first time on the show they talk about the formula.
I know they did bring it up later, and it was Gemma and Simmons. Yeah, Gemma Simmons. I always tried to say it.
Same person.
Name. Yeah. She was like analyzing it. There's like some extra ingredient there that was like some,
because in the finale
or something,
you see him transform.
Yeah,
and that's he like took a new dose of it. Yeah.
But no, I never knew when they actually brought it up in the first place, so that's cool to see. And and I was also saying, as I was saying, him getting a team together of like non-superpowered people, I just find that kind of interesting because he knows about superpowered, like real superpowered people, and I'm kind of curious if he ever like thought about getting people like that because he kind of knew how he would connect with them. So
this right here might be the most disturbing scene in the whole series because it never really is confirmed what happens. Now, Coulson said earlier that one of these people that Cal liberated, just by opening his vocal cords, can trigger immediate catatonia. Which means that you're going to see right now that a lot of these kids are just going to completely fall because I guess the implication is they're paralyzed, but I don't know if that means that they're paralyzed like on a temporary basis or that means they're paralyzed for the rest of their lives. Because if that's the case, that's some fucking dark shit right there. Like that's why I'm saying like it's not that graphic of a sequence, but when you begin to think about what's about to happen, you're going to see a whole bunch of high school kids just like basically be about to become paralyzed for the rest of their lives. It's pretty damn dark.
It's time.
Humor. So that's your thing.
Chloe Bennett is crushing this, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Like she is really selling. Like this is just a really tough stretch for her character.
Not so fast. Make it count.
Right here is what I was talking about. Yeah.
Historic matchup between the Shield Eagles and us, rivals and underdogs, the Slicing Talons.
Yeah, that's good. Birds and talents.
Live over AM 520 WASY.
God.
You can say he definitely gets invested into a role.
Here's a fun fact. He killed the man I had been plotting to kill for 2.5 decades! Disappointment!
I'm sure Cal was voicing some fans' opinions about that disappointment.
These kids here, these kids with their whole lives in front of them. Aren't you gonna help?
Maybe that comment confirms that it won't be permanent. Kids with their whole
Maybe.
lives in front of them. Maybe he knows that it can be fixed after a while or something.
Except for... See, I don't know. They never say that. That gives me the impression that's it.
Now we decide. Contain her or put her down. Your call.
Coulson's like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess he sees what she's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You threatened to kill me. Your own father. You didn't know any better. They raised you. They brainwashed you. You won't kill her.
The reminder that Cal isn't stupid.
Oh, yeah.
So just give it a minute. Like, he's not going to fall for it. And then this just comes out of nowhere. I love that slow walk. God damn. I mean, he is basically a gorilla now, right? That guy. Jeez.
It's like there was someone in the back of the bathroom.
There was what?
I think there was like a person in that bathroom. It was like a frame and then that's
Maybe
it.
a production error.
Hmm.
I didn't catch anything.
No, yeah, it was like I said, it was like a frame that they were there.
That's bad. So, because of how much she was inhibiting her powers, she basically fractured every bone in her arms, which they don't say until all the way in season 4 that Gemma had to develop specific medicine to help her body heal her bones, and she has to be consistently on that medication in order for her to use her powers. Because what happens in season 4, when she distances herself from the team, she no longer has access to that medication. She then begins to have severe pain and every time she's using her powers, she has the potential to completely destroy her arms. So just a bit of information there for you. They never say it out loud. 75 hairline fractures, she said.
All right, here, let's go.
Oh, I guess we're here.
I remember this moment, but I could have sworn it was Fitz that he says this to. I don't know why I remembered it that way.
What organization, Mac? Who the hell are you working for?
Shield. The real Shield.
It's also just so funny to think about that. It's so funny to think about that because it's like, oh my gosh, who's this organization? It's like, how could, what others are there? It's like a Shield. Oh, okay. Y'all can work together?
the real Shield.
That's not for me to decide.
Notice how he seems a little bit scared there. Cal, the person who's killed people, it's a little bit like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And it's Jiaying. That should have been an indication like, yeah.
Especially with that first reaction, which is when we see May and her ex, how they're interacting and everything. I mean, obviously, any relationship you can point to, it's like, yeah, it's better than theirs right now, but still.
Okay. I want to go straight to Ami's reaction. I want to change the time. Can you go to 1751 instead?
Who the hell are you working for?
Shield. The real Shield.
Huh? What? Hold on. What? Huh?
Yeah, that's basically how it was explained. It's like, yeah, Shield. Wait, what? Really?
God damn it. All right, man. Another fantastic little episode, though goofy as fuck, with this little crew that Sky's father rallied together to kind of go on his little crusade to draw out Coulson and get his little revenge. The super strong guy, I get. The guy who can knock people out with his voice, I get. The tech guy, I get. Lady Knife Fingers, why are you here? Like, he would be just as effective just holding a knife himself, or giving any of them a knife themselves. It's hilarious. Like, the moment a confrontation came up where it wasn't a distracted guard so that she could sneak up and slice his throat, she just got her ass beat. There was absolutely nothing she could contribute here. Oh my god. I don't know if these are actual comic book characters. The one guy I thought was like a knockoff Black Bolt. His just paralyzes people, knocks them unconscious or whatever, like he said, affects the nervous system. So it's just a really nerfed version of that. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting, like, that they have this, not even interesting, like, it's very obvious, because, like, Captain America, I guess, would fall in the category of enhanced, you know, people that are, you know, just humans who have had scientific alterations that made them more than normal, you know, whether it be additions or just alteration changes, whatever. And then there's Sky and Reyna, who were just born different. Like, they have something extra at birth, and this has just been awakened, and this is kind of a way to differentiate that. But she didn't give a name to that, and I wonder if we're just kind of holding off on that. But, you know, again, like, she's like, we need to, and I get where she's coming from, you know, it's like the sedative and all this stuff, but it goes back to, like, not addressing the problem. It's just covering it up. It's the medical equivalent of what Sky is doing with her humor, her sarcasm, her deflection. That's all that is. It's not fixing a damn thing. It's just ignoring the problem, putting it away for a minute, except for the dream thing. I think that's the only thing that really would be something that needs to be addressed, because at least at that point, it's definitely outside of Sky's control. Now, every time she calms herself down and stops these quakes, has it been affecting her body when she does that? Or is it just this one time where she was seeing all of them fighting, you know, tooth and nail for her? Did that cause her to then reflect on herself as the target of her intent? When she was reining it in, this time she targeted herself because that's how she was feeling. Or is every time she's been doing this, she's been hairline fracturing her own body, damaging herself? So is there no way to... I mean, there's multiple seasons of this. There's no way there's not a way to get it under control. There's got to be a way to calm it down and not direct it at herself. Just stop it outright and then hone it in. And I'm wondering how we're going to achieve that. You know, as much as Simmons understandably is upset with Fitz for altering, you know, test results, blood samples, their data to hide what was going on with Sky, I do feel like he was perfectly within his rights. As much as I am against secrets and everything going on in this group, like people keeping secrets from one another, we're doing it again. Coulson is doing it again. These things never stay in the dark. They always come out eventually. I don't know why he feels the need to keep this from the people that matters the most to. Like, it's just, he's not learning. But he's just like, hey, we got to keep this between us, but we need to figure out, if we can't get this under control, how to neutralize Sky.
And that's going to bite him in the ass pretty quickly, isn't it? With this, you know, keeping these secrets between each other. I think this is the big thing that Coulson has to learn this season.
She's already been wanting to do to begin with, but now she's kind of been given the green light, but he doesn't want anybody else to know. And now, once again, she's the one keeping the secret about what is going on, and further proves that Fitz was in the right for what he was doing, because this is the route that's happening. But, I mean, you could also argue that had he been forthright about that, we wouldn't be in this situation, but then I guarantee we would be right back here anyway. Where she was upset about him about what happened too, I mean, rightfully, like, she's not innocent in the situation at all and why things are different. Obviously, with what happened, with what Ward did to them and how they survived the encounter and what that did to Fitz, you know, her avoidance of that issue and the way that she's been treating him as well. It's a two-way street, man. Neither one of them is on the high road in this situation, no matter what. But for her to put herself above what he's done for Sky, and I don't think she's holding herself accountable for her part in why he did what he did. All that aside, when it came down to it, when they were distracted talking about May and what they've learned about her and her ex-husband and what they were talking about, when they weren't talking about the work or what was going on between them, for just a moment, we had a little bit of what they used to be like together. Like their dynamic just flipped right into it. When they're not thinking about it, when they're just letting the instincts fly, they were right back into their groove and their banter. And I hope that's a sign that maybe we can get there, and not that, you know, this could be there and then we're going to lose that even more with more secrets. And then what is this, the real S.H.I.E.L.D. thing? Fury came to Coulson and set this whole thing up. Whoever they're working for is what? Who? Like, do they truly believe Coulson's S.H.I.E.L.D. is not the real S.H.I.E.L.D. and that's why they're there to steal Nick Fury's shit? Are they working for a Nick Fury clone? Nick Fury lied to Coulson? Do we have rival S.H.I.E.L.D. agencies? Like, Coulson was handed the keys by the man himself. Maybe the remnants that were not Hydra, but still S.H.I.E.L.D. see themselves as the ones trying to rebuild it. So we have competing S.H.I.E.L.D.s, and they think they're the real one, and Coulson's the fraud, which that just should sound insane to anybody that knows anything about their own organization. I don't know what that's about, man. That was a big old twister-rooney that I can't wait to see how they explain that. But overall, a fun episode. I like getting, once again, a deeper exploration of May and her past, as well as her coping mechanisms and the pros and cons of her approach to certain situations, because I think we do see it in the way that things have panned out with her as well. But then the way that he came in here is kind of a counterbalance to that, but obviously they lead to life that just doesn't really make for good meshing and a healthier dynamic to exist between the two of them. Obviously, we don't know the full range of events that led to them separating, but obviously May's priorities were a conflict, and the way that she was dealing with certain things, obviously, I think we're a part of that as well. But, you know, it's like, there are good things in what she's teaching you. I like how he addressed that, but it's like, but with all of that comes the negatives. You're not really tackling head on the actual problem itself, and we got to dig into that. And like they're keeping him around for that purpose. I don't know. We'll dig into it and we'll see what happens. But you know, Sky's father has now been kidnapped by Nightcrawler, and he's back at wherever their little hideaway is, where Raina, I presume, was also taken, where the other people like them are, I guess, hiding, working together, hiding in the shadows, whatever they got going on, cooking up here, carrying on the mission that Sky's mother left behind. But they brought him here for some reason and not Sky, but they were just like, hey, you're causing too much of a stir. You know, we're trying to stay on the down low, and you're just bringing too much attention our way. And I guess they wanted to silence him, but not pick up Sky when he had a prime opportunity to do so.
Generally speaking, I agree with the comments 100%. It was just on every point, I feel exactly the same way. Let's see here. Eric Goldman, IGN. In One of Us, Kyle MacLachlan's unstable, revenge-seeking Cal brought together a band of indexed misfits. Ton of fun, adding an offbeat gothic zeal to the proceedings, and the danger element of the episode just never landed for me. I know the point of Cal's gang was that they weren't exactly all powerful, but I also never bought that they'd become a force, as Cal promised. Yada, yada, yada. I suppose Cal's failed venture was representative of his desperation / madness, his fear that Sky would get tagged and treated like an animal. Erratic, volatile feelings that he's now admitted are due to him. On the Easter egg front, Angar and Carla both have comic book ties. I do not care. I'm just going past that. Guest star Blair Underwood, who played here, mixed nicely into the squad as May's ex-doctor Andrew Gardner, a guy whose ties to May's mysterious non-S.H.I.E.L.D. past made him an object of interest for many. In fact, Simmons and Fitz even giddily bonded over May's relaxed demeanor, a dynamic we haven't seen between them in a long while. Okay. And then Oliver Sava at AV Club. I've criticized the show's lack of style in previous reviews, but Tancherowan brings a visual excitement to the series when he is in the director's chair, and not just when it comes to fight sequences. There is a fluidity to his camera work that makes the show look less like a typical network drama, and he has a great eye for capturing a sense of place, whether it's the university campus where Agent May's ex-husband works, or the small Wisconsin town where Calvin, Zabo, and allies stage their assault on Coulson and his team. But the reason Tantarowan needs to become a fixture on this series, and he did, is because he knows how to choreograph and direct action. Yep, that's why he directed the most episodes of the whole show. An invaluable quality when working on a spy series set in a superhero universe. While Calvin assembling a team of supervillains, I anticipated this episode to have some strong fight sequences, and Tantarowan delivers. A quick close quarters fight between Bobby and a patient at the Bryn Mawr Psychiatric Facility spotlights Mockingbird's strength and agility, and she gets to show off even more when she faces off against Carla and her sharp metal nails. Tantarowan appears to have a thing for using tables for finishing moves, because the big oh shit action moment of the episode was when Bobby pushes down a table to send the other side careening into Carla's face for a knockout. And we both had a reaction to that when we saw in the episode. May and Coulson also get some solid screen time during the big fight at the end of the episode, and they look like total badasses thanks to Tantarowan's direction. Ming-Na Wen has impressed with her action skills in the past, but Clark Gregg has had fewer opportunities in the field this season, so it's nice to see Coulson tapping into his secret agent experience and getting his hands dirty. But May is the real star on the football field of Coulson's hometown high school, proving her mettle against an opponent has super strength thanks to experimental steroids. May is actually the big star of One of Us, gaining considerable depth thanks to the presence of her ex-husband, a psychiatrist that is sought out to help Skye work through her current issues. Andrew brings out the softer side of May, and while it's a bit jarring to see her smiling and joking and adding joking around, it's also a welcome development. It introduces a lot of humor to the script, and adding more dimension to a character is never a bad thing. May is always so stoic and serious, so it's refreshing to see writer Monica Owusu-Breen explore a considerably different aspect of May's personality. It makes me wonder what May was like before the trauma. I think you're gonna find out. That led her to quit her job as a field agent and become a SHIELD pencil pusher. Did she always have this severity, and Andrew helped her loosen up, or was she a more carefree person that suffered an experience that dramatically changed her demeanor? I'd love to get an episode that solely focuses on May. Literally everything you're writing about, you're gonna get. Yeah. It's coming down the line, and pretty soon, as a matter of fact. Oh man, it's hilarious, actually. What he's saying here, because it basically is going to come to fruition. Andrew plays an important role in One of Us as he tries to help Skye overcome her personal trauma rather than pushing it down, because burying the problem isn't going to make it go away. It just puts it in a place where it can come crawling back when her guard is down, like when she's sleeping. When her powers kick in during the fight at the end of the episode, she tries to calm herself and control the quakes, but all she does is send them inward, causing 75 hairline fractures from her clavicle to her fingers. We're one step closer to Skye gaining Daisy Johnson's signature gauntlets, and she's becoming a more intriguing character as she starts to resemble her comic book persona. Skye's daddy continues to be one of the best things about the show, and Kyle MacLachlan is a big bad in the classic Whedon mold. Extremely dangerous, but also incredibly charismatic, with a twisted sense of humor that makes him stand out from the other villains on this show. There's very little subtlety to his performance, but he's playing Mr. Hyde, so the aggressive approach works very well and makes him even more of a threat. He's a delight to watch, and I'm especially excited to see where his story goes now that he's been grabbed by Gordon and pulled deeper into the Inhuman plot. And what about poor Lance, who got knocked at the end of the last week's episode? He spends most of the episode handcuffed to a sink, cursing his ex-wife and her partner in deception, who are both working for the real SHIELD. It makes a lot of sense that other benevolent SHIELD officials would rebuild the organization following the events of The Winter Soldier, and based on the previews for next week's episode, it looks like Edward James Olmos is in charge of this outfit, which is awesome. I eagerly anticipate lots of scenes of him being an angry curmudgeon, and a shield versus shield battle sounds like it has the potential to be very entertaining. Stray observations, some things that he noticed in the episode. Sky will be appearing, this is a comic thing. I apologize for incorrectly spelling, calling Lance Hunter by his actor's name for my entire, okay. I would love for Fitz and Simmons to reconcile by hatching a parent trap-like scheme for me to get back together with Andrew. That's totally what this episode was hinting at, right? Fitz's confused look at May after discovering that she was married is perfect. This is a great episode for fun Fitz in general. I sound bat guano crazy. Those are some quotes that from the so I sound bat guano crazy. Cal said that. Give him a beer or something. I think that was Bobby. May says, "Hungry? I can fix you something." Andrew, I'm not that hungry. Oh man. The slicing talons. And then, of course, when Cal says to Daisy, "What's your thing? I was hoping it was wings." Anyway, David, your reaction to this episode. I mean, generally speaking, this one seemed to be a winner, and everybody kind of agreed more or less on what was a pretty good selling point on this episode. And honestly, it's really hard to think of any drawbacks as far as this week is concerned. So it didn't feel like anything was lacking. Everything seemed like it was in the right place. And again, how I said in the middle of the reaction, it felt like at first it was something of a detour, almost like last week's episode was. But no, it actually just, it's deception. It keeps things moving forward.
No, yeah. That's the thing with S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, from recent shows that we've seen, this is the biggest difference. It's like on this episode, you're going to get some kind of progress that's going to either move the plot along or move the characters along. Watching other shows, recent shows, it just feels like you moved along, but I don't know where you're going. I don't know where these characters are going to end up. You can throw something. I mean, for a recent one, Skeleton Crew, I'm sent a message today. I was like, I really liked it. There's still some flaws within the show where it's just kind of like there's some things that just kind of come out of nowhere and you kind of like go, oh, okay, I guess this is happening. But from where we got from the beginning to the ending, I think it was a great ride. I think the cast was great and everything. So, but with S.H.I.E.L.D. specifically, it's like they focus on one specific thing. They move it along, and that's what you get. I mean, that's episodic writing right there.
Television,
yeah. So, there is some progress, I'm sure. And in this moment, what people would look for is just like they want the big things, they want the big action and all that. They want like Game of Thrones stuff where it's like, oh my god, that's how you want to react. But you can't do that with long running shows. You just kind of have to go along with it. That's it.
Yeah. Overall, pretty honestly, every time I watch this episode, I'm just like, damn, this is great. I love these characters. I love this show. And I think it was pretty seismic to bring in May's ex-husband. It's like, ooh, interesting. So, yeah.
And it makes
overall,
sense.
Loved it. Yeah, definitely.
And it makes sense for him to be there. It's like S.H.I.E.L.D. is down. They need someone they can trust. It's like, oh, yeah, why not bring in her ex? It'll be awkward, but we know him, on the personal level. So
right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and bring things to a close here. Thank you everybody for watching, listening. Leave any comments down below for any of us to read later on. We'll be back next time for episode 14 already of season 2. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.